and not quite the same as it used to be. And the neat thing that they use science to figure out is this guy with these ice cores. And the neat thing about the ice cores is they were taken from Kilimanjaro, right? And in that ice core, there's this little black band that's right there. It looks like somebody put a pin to it. Well, let's see if we caught this at the right moment. Hopefully it'll start right here. For that's a
it's very exciting.
Carbon layer.
This ominous dark layer is the result of the dramatic climate change that led to the collapse of the Old Kingdom.
That dramatic layer right there, I'm not sure if it's been tested for microspherules and all the stuff that goes with asteroids or not, but it's a carbon layer that this guy even here, I probably can't catch the moment and don't want to watch it through it to where it does and it'll flag me. But he says it's darker than other ones that are found in different places, so it looks like it's closer to this area. You look at that earlier map that I showed you where everybody had a drought, and you just take that downwind and it just smears right across Egypt through the Middle East, and you can see it affected all the way through Samaria, all the way up into, they're finding this ash layer and stuff all the way through the Tarim Basin in China and places like that. I mean, just it's amazing. But let's see if I can catch another moment of this. And there it is, just caught in this ice. And so how crystal clear, and it's just this disc of matter. Now this is up on Kilimanjaro, and this thing is 1,000 foot deep worth of ice, and some 360 foot deep on the ice. They hit this little plug here, which is carbon dating to this time. But it looks like that was the cause right there, and some volcanic effect, which appears to be closer, and somewhere in Africa might have happened, that its incredible bilging out caused these droughts right in the middle of their heyday, right whenever it was green still, but fading away to dirt. And that was the cause for all the turmoil, the fight between each other, the end of the dynastic pharaohs that were able to pull it together good enough to build the pyramids and do the things. And from then on, Egypt itself looked at it as being the golden age. And hey, remember when? Some of us can do that in our lives, because there are periods of time whenever it looked like America was just prosperous as hell compared to certain situations and so on. But there's shows a sign of devastation that really affected not just them, but the whole planet. They took this guy, and Lake Mueris that we know of nowadays has been shrunk down to this little piece that's here. But they took and got some cores out of this area, and they figure it used to be a whole lot bigger than this, and that at one time, right exactly at this moment, it all dried up. Yeah, they had to dig it out so the Nile would eventually flow back into it again. That's how effective it was. And perhaps the people had to live off of it in some way, but here's the last effect of it. You can see the dark area is basically where it used to be, versus it all dried up now. And he tells you that looks like that's the time of drought, and that was the cause of it. And the soil wasn't putting forth things, and you couldn't shadoof enough stuff that was there. And again, they show those skulls and the end of the time, and it went to separate kingdoms of Thebes and things, and broke back apart, just like it was before. But the first coming together, and they got everybody together as one, and wham, did some incredible things, kind of like America did. But then something drastic happened. I don't want to sound like a catastrophist again and everything, but here's another sign that that old idea of it's all smooth jazz isn't necessarily the way it goes. And again, something that's seen is over 1,000 miles away over here, over at least from this point, was affected that dramatically by it. And all of humanity during this time, for we saw the droughts that went everywhere. Now, there was one that happened before at about 6400 that pushed some of these people into Egypt in the first place from the northern territories and Natufians and so on that we've talked about recently. But adverse effects like this made certain things happen, but it sure is devastating whenever it does. And that appears to be Egypt's darkest hour, and the reason for the end of the earliest old dynasty of Egypt and the pyramid builders. Sorry it's ran on to 3 times. Peace.